Hello, everyone, and welcome to TIP Radio Podcast, Top Industry Professionals, where we showcase prestigious professionals from around the globe, sharing their stories and experiences of success. We are so honored to have with us today a special guest joining us from Oregon, who has an incredible story and is the co-founder of the Girls STEAM Institute, which is a nonprofit focusing on engaging young women exploring to become STEAM entrepreneurs. She'll be honored at IAOTP's annual awards gala this December in Las Vegas, selected as top co-founder and CEO of the year by the International Association of Top Professionals for her outstanding leadership, dedication, and commitment to the industry. Diane McClelland, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Michelle, and a big thank you to Stephanie and her whole team at International Association of Top Professionals. This is a wonderful honor, and I'm so excited to meet everyone at the summer soiree and also in Las Vegas at the Bellagio at the gala. So I feel very honored, and I'm so appreciative of this award.
Well, we are so excited to see you, and I'm also excited. I'll see you in a few days' time. Obviously, your pictures are going to be plastered all over the NASDAQ billboard. You are so beautiful, so glorious, and we are here to celebrate you today and to find out more about your fantastic work that you're doing with the Girls STEAM Institute. Please, for our listeners, share your story.
Oh, thank you very much for asking. Well, at this particular time, after spending 40 years helping support women and girls, I just finished my memoir entitled How Do You Know You're You? It's still going through the finishing stages, but it emanated from my role as an identical twin sister who was constantly being confused. But we grew up very close to each other because people assumed that if you knew one, you knew us both. But at 10 years old, we pledged to each other we were going to do something big. We did not know what it was going to be, but we had that sense we were going to do something special. Well, we had our first opportunity in 1957, 15 years before Title IX. We fought against the high school administration to get girls' tennis there. Boys had all these interscholastic teams, but girls did not. So we had a saying, if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. So we dug in our heels and we told the school, we have to have it. And they said, you have intramurals. That's not good enough. We want an interscholastic team like the boys. So they said, all right, if you want that, then you got to have 50 girls sign up just to see if there's any interest when there's only a team of 6. So we went out and recruited these girls and had the tryouts. And so the administration said, well, I guess you've got 6 girls now on your team. We'll go ahead with it. So again, this is 15 years before Title IX. The following year, this is such a fun story to tell. There were 17 boys teams. The girls had 1 team. We brought back the first state title to the school. The girls did. Mm-hmm. But what we didn't realize at the time, when we started the girls team, the other schools in the league had to go out and rush around to get a team of girls so we could have someone to play with or play against. But we found out the school invited us back in 2017 and thanked us because they credit us with starting women's sports in Oregon. And you just never know when you stand for something, dig your heels in, what kind of rippling effect it would have. So that has been our mantra, Suzanne and I both, for our 40 years working. And she went community action and also police reform, and I stuck with women and girls. And so it's been an amazing experience. She and I have co-founded 2 out of the 3 organizations I've formed, but we are in lockstep with each other. And so we feel that each one of us have had personal challenges in our life, but we've learned that we're not going to let that stand in the way. We find that digging in and taking on certain programs that need help it's amazing what you learn about yourself. So it's been a big learning experience for us. And that is what is in that book. It talks about the importance of self-identity and self-love, and that when we are clear about who we are ourselves, we can accomplish anything. So that led to me starting the Gateway to the Women's Market, and also the Foundation for Women-Owned Businesses, and the Astro Women's Business Alliance, which is a women's business certification program that led to me starting Girl STEAM Institute. So that was the pathway. But again, it's all about women. It's all about girls. And the STEAM Institute was formed because we had several corporate supplier diversity people on our board that were really ruminating about worrying about what's going to happen in the future for supply chain because of the baby boomers possibly leaving the market. So what are we going to do about it? So a gentleman from Microsoft was our board chair, and he had a 14-year-old daughter. And I said, Fernando, we need to have a program that starts when the girls are young and create a pathway for them to look forward so that they would keep them on the path, that they would learn certain entrepreneurial skills and then continue on and not consider going to work for somebody. It's just, we're going to help them become an entrepreneur, a STEAM entrepreneur. And then as of 2000, Dr. Tom Furness, the inventor of virtual reality, he came on our board. So we changed everything. After COVID, everything was, shut down as far as doing the in-person events. And so we had a Zoom event in 2020, and he came on board and he says, Diane, we need to get with the program here, virtual reality. So that was 2021 was our first event. And we had girls from UK, from Finland, because we were on the Altspace VR platform at the time, which now we're on Engage because Altspace is no longer there. But Michelle, it's just been an amazing experience because we found that when we introduced the virtual reality piece, 85% of the girls had not been on it. They were not gamers, so they were not familiar with it. But we introduced them to it, and they had that 3-letter word, fun, which was so important. And so every year now, since 2021, we have a Team Business Challenge. In fact, we've got one coming up. We'd love to invite anyone that's listening that has children or grandchildren or nieces to consider directing them to girlsteaminstitute.org, where they can actually sign up to participate in this global VR Team Business Challenge, where girls are forming teams. We help form the teams, but girls apply all around the world. And they have a day and a half to come up with a business idea and a digital app that solves a problem for climate change or mental health. And then they take that idea as a business and pitch it to a panel of judges for cash awards. It's just been an amazing experience to see how innovative these girls are.
So it sounds like a very stringent process. So Diane, when you give advice to young entrepreneurs, please share that with us.
Well, to young entrepreneurs or any entrepreneur?
Any entrepreneurs, but especially the girl entrepreneurs that you were talking about.
Well, what we tell them and inspire them to do is to increase your awareness of what's working, what's not working, and think about ideas that you might have that you think maybe others might not think about. And when we start talking to these young girls about it, they're really amazed because some of them think, you mean at age 15, I could come up with an idea that could lead into a business? We said, yes, you can. So we encourage them to look at the possibilities of creating a business because it makes financial sense. An entrepreneur has 4 times the net worth of someone who's working for someone else. So it's an opportunity to build family wealth and financial security, but more importantly, to have young women see that they can partner with other girls and young women to collaborate to create global collaborative innovation. That's what we're lacking in this world. We need these young minds who see things differently. They don't have the same filters that we do, and they're very much possibility thinkers. We've had girls that actually took virtual reality and augmented reality together and came up with a solution for a major hospital who was dealing with with ergonomic challenges for their ultrasound techs. They were getting all this arthritis in their necks and shoulders, and they were starting to leave the industry. And this young woman, Tana, came up with that idea. And so she is at 15 was part of a medical report, and also at the same age presented to San Diego Medical Society, the youngest one to ever present. And she's now going to MIT, and she's going to be studying genomics. So I mean, it's when they start seeing what's possible, there's no stopping them. And that's what our role is to help mentor them and support them. We create a family-like atmosphere. Mm-hmm. So there's no question that can't be answered. And we've got these wonderful mentors that come from women that own businesses, men and women that own businesses, and also from the high-tech area where they want to see the youth carry the banner for the next generation. So it's very exciting, Michelle, to see this happen. And we've just not even scratched the surface of what's possible.
It's always exciting chatting to you because it's just so inspirational. You've got so much going on. And I'm sure, though, in your career and lifetime, there have been some obstacles that you've had to overcome. What would one of those be, or a couple of those that you can highlight for us?
Well, unfortunately, because of the time I was living in the 60s, there were a lot of women that were not encouraged to be self-expressive and to follow their dreams. But when I look back, I think, all of us have choices. And if we something is that important to us, we need to make that choice, because that's part of our heart. That's part of our gifts that we receive from God, is we have to be able to exercise that and make something happen. The other thing, I had other areas of trauma in my life, but what I did, that muscle memory, you learn when something happens, there's always a way, there's always an answer. So I would flip the switch. I'd say, I'm not going to be upset because I'm going to figure out a way to work around it. And that's what I've done my whole life. Every time something comes at me that says, this is not going to happen, you're not going to do it, I've changed it. And I've found another way. And that's given me so much satisfaction. I just encourage anyone listening, don't allow what other people tell you, how they view you, or what they think your possibilities are, because only you know. It's an inside job. No one can make us happy. Only we can.
Well, that's truly insightful, and something I know you as a mentor, anyone in your realm would be so lucky to have you as a mentor. And talking about your wonderful, illustrious career, you've won so many awards, honors, been featured in magazines worldwide. Congratulations. It truly is inspirational.
Thank you.
And very impressive and deserving. But what would you say are the most memorable experiences that you've had?
I have several, and they were big learning lessons for me. One of the top ones that come to mind is at 53, I was part of a race walk team to participate in the Via Daza in the Netherlands, in Nijmegen. I walked 107 miles in 4 days through intense heat as part of a team with 40,000 people from all around the world, military and civilians. And the third day was the day of the hills. And I got separated from my team. I was out walking this farm road with black and white cows on the side looking at me and saying, you look like you're lost. And so a van came up that was one of the sponsors and said, we have to wear name tags to say, identify who we were. And this man said, I don't think you're going to make it, because you got 3 more hills and you have to be back at the starting place in 2 hours. I don't think you're going to make it. Well, a woman sitting in the van next to him looked at my eyes and looked at the intensity of my eyes, said, she's going to make it. Because at the end of it, you get a medal from Queen Beatrix of Holland. And so she said, I'm going to punch her ticket and she's going to go, because she's going to get her medal from Queen Beatrix. So that gave me the reinforcement. And I ran and walked up to the top of that next hill. And there were a group of Danish military men walking there with canteens hanging over their shoulders. And I was totally out of water at that time. And I said, sir, do you have, and they were about my son's age at the time, do you have any water? Oh, yes, Mom. You stay up with us, Mom, and we will take you home. We will take you back. And so I kept up. And when my cadence started lagging back, they, come on, Mom. Day was the fourth day. And we went down via Gladiola in Nijmegen. 1 million people lined the streets with big bouquets of flowers. And our team, Dutch Treat, was the only one of 2 American teams that were participating. So people would say, Americana, Americana. And they'd rush out and give us all these huge bouquets of flowers. And it was just like an amazing experience, because at that age, my sons were saying, Mom, that's going to be tough for you at 53. And I was so happy I made it. And so the 2 wins for me is I said I was going to do it, and I did it. And I got my medal from Queen Beatrix. So that was the top one I can think of right now. But then the other is when I was in banking, I had a gentleman, an elderly gentleman, walk into my private office, and he saw it was me, a woman sitting behind the desk. I told my boss, I am not working with her. She's a woman. She doesn't know about business. And my boss said, she's very good at what she does. So what happened is Joe and I developed a relationship, but he would always call me by my last name. He never said, Diane or Miss McClelland. And so every week we'd go out to lunch, and he'd say, you're paying. So I was picking up the lunch every week, which I expected to. But I could tell over time that I was wearing him down, because I was asking him about his family, about his kids, what's going on. So I started talking to him on a personal level. And by the end of the 6 months, he bought that lunch. We got the project done. And I said, Joe, it's been a pleasure working with you. Do you have other businesses that are in your association that you think I might be able to help? And he took a napkin out and wrote 4 company names on there and phone numbers. He said, Diane, and he called me this time, Diane, I will call each one of them and tell them they need to work with you. And so it was like that paradigm shift, just wearing them down. And I think it's just patience and perseverance and not getting emotional, not trying to make a big deal out of it, just working through it. And that's the approach I've been using most of my life now, and it's really worked well. Inside, I'm really upset, but I don't want him to know that, because then I lose ground. But so that was one, but one that's really dear to my heart, Michelle, and I think this will be endearing to you as well. It's a Girls STEAM Institute story we talk about unconscious bias and imposters. That happens with adults. It happens with parents and teachers. And sometimes the unconscious bias can come from a family member, particularly like a father, as he looks at his daughter. And this story is, we had this big event, and he came up to me before the event started. His daughter was there. All parents had to stay. They didn't drop off the child. So the parents were there through the whole 2-day process for this team challenge. He said, my 5-year-old son would probably get more out of this than my daughter. Thank God his daughter did not hear that. And so he sat in the audience, and what became a total paradigm shift. He saw his daughter all dressed up in business suit, and she was pitching as her company to this panel of judges as the CEO of this company that came up with a business solution for climate change. And we all looked at it. Several of us knew that he had said that to us, and he had tears coming down his face. And so their team won first place, and they won $5,000. And so he came up afterwards, and my twin and I were standing there. He said, do you mind if I give you a hug? And he gave us both a hug, and he said, I get it. I understand now. In fact, I am going to tell my community they need to get behind and support this program. So his daughter probably never knew that we had this conversation. But you know what she did? She became a servant leader, and she went and raised money through a grant to put on a free STEAM workshop for 200 people in Chicago. So see, she felt that she was there for a reason, and she saw the bigger picture. She also heard from two other STEAMers. We call them STEAMers, the girls that go through the program. One had gone through 2 years before her, and she wanted to provide some free training for low-income kids in San Jose. And so she went out, worked with NASA, one of our friends that worked with our STEAM program. She enlisted her to be a volunteer. So she not rented, but she used a space in the library for a week. And she brought in all these boys and girls from low income areas. And she loved it. And so she was telling the story for this other young woman that heard that story, that was so inspired that someone older than her could do something like that. So that's what lit her up. And another young woman from that had been in our program 2 years before this young woman was a gamer. She had 40 games that she had developed, all on her own, and 2 of them had been downloaded 1 million times each. Well, this young lady that I'm speaking about, she wanted to go into medicine. And she heard Jenny Zhu say, I've got 40 and I'm going to be growing my business. And this lit this gal up, and she said, I've got to tell my parents I'm not going into medicine. I'm going into gaming. And that's exactly what she did. She went to UC Berkeley. She just graduated. That was her school that she definitely wanted to go to. And she's an entrepreneur now. But she's also a servant leader because she went to Chicago and did that. So what I'm saying is that we have just scratched the surface of what's possible with these young women and boys, because we're going to start a program next year in 2026 that will include team competitions with boys and girls together. So it won't be just an all-girls team. It will be a co-ed team, so that we can, dispel the assumptions that boys and girls can't work together. Yeah. Unfortunately, in some of the robotics programs, young boys have told girls, you don't belong here. You don't belong here. And some of the girls that are going through our program told us that. And so we need to dispel this. We need to have boys and girls working together in public where parents can say, you know what, I'm not going to say that anymore about girls, because it's coming from the parents and the teachers. It's coming from the nucleus that's around it, and that's creating these decades and decades of wrongful paradigms that are hurting our kids. And so that's what we're all about, Michelle. We think it's going to take a world of all of us working together to change these attitudes, but it's possible.
Yeah. Well, certainly with someone like you, it is possible. And it's been so inspiring listening to you today. I wish I could be here for the rest of the day, but I get to see you in a few days' time. So to all the listeners out there, if they want to get hold of you, how do they go about it?
Diane at girlsteaminstitute.org. DIANE at girlsteaminstitute.org. I look forward to hearing from people. I'm here to help.
Fantastic. I'm sure our listeners will be dialing that button. And
thank you, Michelle, for this opportunity.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. And we'll see you soon. Hope you have a fabulous day.
Right. I look forward to seeing you in New York shortly.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.